in an elephant mudwaller, but this is Safari Live. Stay tuned for lots of animals.
Ready. Standing by.
You are live.
Hi! So of course it is World Elephant Day and we are searching for elephants and lions and all other fantastic creatures out here in the African bush. My name is Brent and on camera with me today is Brian and the Thumb, and together we're known as the Killer Bees. So the Killer Bees are hoping to take you on a fantastic animal-filled adventure today. So I'm slowly meandering my way towards the Buffelshoek waterhole. I had tracks of the whole Nkuhuma Pride heading in this direction. Maybe there's some elephants descending for an afternoon mud bath. Fortunately for me, my elephant mud bath was quite dry. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be sitting so comfortably in my chair right now. And the mud sometimes can be a little bit pungent. And I don't think Brian would be very impressed if he had to smell that mud on me for the whole of the Sunset Safari. Nah. But in final control we have a Kirsten and I think Rebecca, and on the other vehicle we have Jamie and Wim. So very exciting to take you on this adventure. Exciting, I'm mixing my words today. But of course it is World Elephant Day, and they are one of the species that have been under pressure over the last 50 or 100 years. Massive demand for their ivory, and but probably the biggest problem, like with most animals, is loss of habitat. So elephants, being a big animal, need big spaces, and unfortunately not too many of those left out in the wild. But we are very lucky to be in one of those places, the home to estimated about 16,000 elephants. The Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park, made up of 3 countries: South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. And we are on the sort of central western parts in a private reserve called the Sabi Sands Reserve, and we're exploring Djuma Private Game Reserve at the moment. Now, Jamie has got a tusked beast, but it's not the one we're looking for.
A tusked beast indeed, and I think Brent took the words out of my mouth. I was about to start off the afternoon by saying that we have found a grey-skinned animal, but again, not the one that we are looking for on our lovely warm winter's afternoon as we set off to search for elephants to celebrate World Elephant Day. But let us start off with our warthog and look at the magnificent tusks, not to be underestimated, especially because this is in fact a female warthog. And she's got a seriously impressive set of modified teeth, just in the same way that elephants do in terms of their tusks. They've obviously, much like Brent was demonstrating, I think that they've been hanging out around Red Dam in order to find themselves a nice, cool spot to go and lie in the water, perhaps find some mud as well. They're a little bit skittish. Oh, bye-bye, warthog. So, a very good afternoon to you all. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have Wim, the wildebeest, on camera with me. And on World Elephant Day, I decided that the first place that one should set out and check is the water holes of the area that we get to traverse. I'm starting off my search at Red Dam in the hope that, since it is 27 degrees today, which is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, beautifully warm, I thought perhaps something might have decided to come and have a drink at the dam. Let us see what's at the waterhole. Definitely don't see any elephants. They're usually quite easy to spot. They're big and grey and there's not much vegetation around to hide them away. There's something else big and thick-skinned. And Mr. Hippo. A common character now at the Red Dam waterhole. A hippopotamus. So alongside the elephant and the rhinoceros, the hippopotamus is the last of our what are known as mega herbivores. herbivores that are over a ton in weight. And this gentleman has found himself a nice spot. Not quite deep enough to keep himself completely out of the sun, but every now and again I'm sure he'll roll over and cover himself in water to cool down. And then, as always, at every water's edge there is the blacksmith lapwing. Oh, having a quick bath, actually. Cooling down, cleaning its feathers, and spreading its preen oil at the same time. Oh, how lovely. You don't often get to see them having such a wonderful time in the water itself. Typically they're wading along in the shallows looking for any little freshwater mollusks or anything else that they are able to find. Oh, bath time over. All fluffed up, putting its feathers back in place. And of course it doesn't become completely waterlogged because it is covered in preen oil that comes from the preening gland. Helps to keep the feathers smooth and clean and waterproof at the same time. Now, none of our big thick-skinned animals apart from this hippopotamus, who is watching us warily from the far side of the dam. I know that Tingana was also in this area. He was on Simbombili, but it sounded as though he might be heading across in the direction of Arathusa, so I think that will be our plan for this afternoon. Looking for elephants, of course, and then at the same time searching for our favourite big-spotted, or one of our favourite big-spotted cats. Now let's head over to Brent and see if his afternoon is going more successfully than mine is.
So again, not quite what we were looking for, but a fantastic beast nonetheless. The Cape buffalo. And this is a little group of old buffalo bulls. Now, which tells me something very important for planning the rest of our sunset safari is the lions didn't come this way. So these guys look very relaxed. The last lion tracks were behind them somewhere, so they're probably still sleeping in the thickets around here. So there we go. They're right on the edge of a seep line. You can see really big tufts of grass, and with that little bit of rain, you can see the greenery coming through. So they're busy focusing their feeding area on the seep line, where they're going to get the most nutrients at this very dire and dry time of the year. And these are old boys, retired from breeding. They've been pushed out of the big herds by young bucks, and now they live a life of semi-retirement in little groups to help fend off lions. And they are one of a lion's favorite foods. Faces full of character, but we're going to leave these characters to carry on their munching and keep on with our endeavors. Now, for those of you who might have just bumped into us and found us by accident, we are live, and if you don't believe me, you can send me a question on #SafariLive on Twitter or email questions@WildEarthTV. And a happy Elephant Day to you too, Bill. Great to have you on the back of the vehicle. Hopefully there's going to be some elephants around the corner. Now, because it is World Elephant Day, I'm going to continue on. This morning on the Sunrise Safari, we did some elephant quizzes. And it seems like we do have some very smart viewers out there. So I think I might have to toughen it up for the Sunset Safari. And here's a good one. If you had a tin of a soft drink, how many soft drink tins, how many Coca-Colas could an elephant drink in a day? So elephants are capable of drinking a huge amount. I thought Brian was flicking that he saw something. He was attacked by flies and he was defending his honor. So how many cool drink cans could an elephant drink in a day? And if you know that answer, it's going to take some maths. You can send that through to questions@wildearth.tv or #SafariLive on Twitter. On the Sunrise Safari, we were very excited to see a leopard that none of us had seen before. Now, I've seen her sister from the same litter. Brian was with me, but we unfortunately had no signal right in the Marakene drainage. So she doesn't have a full name yet. Let me just remember now. But friends of mine across the western boundary have got a lovely nickname for her. So she's got a wonderful long and fluffy tail. So they have named, I'm just checking the spelling for everyone. Cheetah. N-C-H-I-L-A. Cheetah, which means tail in Shangaan, because she's got a very lovely long fluffy tail. Cheetah. So she has a 4 or 5 spot pattern. She is a granddaughter of the Grand Dam in the west, Salahesh, and her mother is in Sele. Okay, so no lion tracks coming out, so they must be in here somewhere, but it is World Elephant Day. So first we shall check the Buffelshoek waterhole for any thirsty pachyderms. Now, while we continue our search for the largest and heaviest animal out here in the African bush, Jamie's got one who's on the other end of the scale.
Most definitely, and also one of my favourite antelope, the tiny little Steenbok, in this case a little female. And what's lovely about her is that she is completely relaxed with us. Now, it's not often that we get to sit and watch these antelope for an extended period of time, especially out in the open like this. A lot of the time, as soon as they've spotted us, they usually stay still if you're just driving past, but as soon as you stop and you go back and you stop to look at them and they realize they've been seen, they have a tendency to dash off into the surrounding vegetation and cover. But in this case, our lovely girl is giving us a beautiful view of her shiny red fur, with its distinct white patch underneath and those enormous eyes and ears. Immediately tell you, just by their positioning and the way that they function, that this little animal is used to living in thick vegetation, and yet at the same time has to keep as wide a peripheral vision as possible, and constant listening for any predators that might be sneaking up on her. And you better be careful, girl, because from what I understand, Tingana is somewhere in this area. Oh, brilliant! Giving us a demonstration of a habit that little Steenbok are actually quite famous for, and I'm hoping she's going to defecate as well, which sounds like the weirdest sentence for me to say. I don't go around waiting for antelope to defecate constantly, although apparently that's something that they have a tendency to do with James around. There we go. Now watch what she's going to do here. It's something that Steenbok are famous for and most of the other antelope species do not do, which is just like your cats at home. She's covering her dung and her urine. And it's actually lovely to see. We don't often get to see that in practice. Oh, we're not quite done yet. A little bit more. It's just fascinating to see that instinct. And it does make sense in a way if you're a little antelope that wants to remain as secret as possible. But they are territorial, and it's strange, because it's some biologists that argue that they do it to hide their scent. Others argue that they actually do it to extend the life of the smell of their dung and of their urine. They are territorial creatures, so they have their own little territories that they defend fiercely, females against females and males against males, whilst living in monogamous pairs. And it's an interesting one. Nobody knows exactly what it is that makes a Steenbok instinctively cover its dung, especially because a duiker, which is essentially the same, really, they're essentially the same thing. Two different species of antelope, roughly the same size, roughly the same diet, roughly the same habitat, they don't do it at all. So whenever you come across a scratching or a sort of freshly dug earth with Steenbok dung underneath, you know immediately that it's Steenbok and not duiker. Beautiful girl. And off she goes in search of some fresh green grass to eat. And she's in luck, because after the rain that we've had, the grass is definitely looking different. there's a certain green tinge to it, which brings us all hope for the coming spring that is ahead in the next few months, or miles ahead in the next few months. Okay, bye-bye, girl. And off we go. So somewhere around here in this little territory, her male partner will also be foraging and feeding. They tend to go off on their own during the day and feed, often within a few hundred meters of each other, but that's basically because their territories are so small that they don't stray much further beyond that. And then what they will do is they will come together at night to sleep and to mate if she happens to be an estrus. And they keep up that pair bond for the rest of their lives. Oh, birds! I forgot to tell you this. So this morning I was out on the sunrise safari on the bushwalk, and I'm going to try and I'm really hoping that we can find this particular bird for you. For those of you who are building up your bird lists, you thought you ticked off every hornbill, but you hadn't, because this morning Jandre and myself and Steph were treated to a really stunning sighting of a trumpeter hornbill. I'm trying to give this some context by stopping for this grey hornbill, but every time I stop he just jumps a little bit further ahead. I'm going to show you in my book what a trumpeter hornbill looks like. They're amazing birds. Let's just go around one more corner to see if I can... No. This grey hornbill absolutely refuses to be on camera this afternoon. But let me... Have you got him?
Yeah, I get him back.
A little bit back. Oh, well done, Liam. Ah, goodness, where is it going? One more try, and then I will show you the picture of the trumpeter hornbill. The trumpeter hornbill has got an extra sort of hollowed tube that sits on the top of the bill called a casque, and it makes a sound, and I'm not exaggerating, it sounds exactly like a crying baby. Oh no, I give up. This hornbill doesn't want to be on camera. I give up. It's gone. It's gone again. Let me show you a picture of a trumpeter hornbill. Take me 2 seconds. In theory, if I could get my box open. There we go. I think let's use the index because I've been caught out before thinking I know where this particular bird is. What did I say it was called again? Trumpeter. So, number 2 on this particular page, and there are lots and lots and lots and lots of hornbill species, but the trumpeter hornbill is a forest hornbill. We don't often see them on habitats like Djuma and Arathusa. So there you can see what I was talking about in terms of the casque on the top of the bill. Basically a resonating chamber, much, much larger in the males than it is in the females, and very distinctive flight silhouette. So a completely different shape or almost different shape in terms of the bill to our standard hornbills. And that's something I would really like to be able to show you on our live drives. A new one, I think, for most of you on your bird list. I'm sure that they have been seen on the live drives before, but not while I've been here, not in the last year. And perhaps the drought pushing them ever so slightly further and further onto Djuma. So that's another thing we'll be looking for. A trumpeter hornbill to add to your bird lists. I also saw 2 crows randomly, which is also relatively unusual. I've only ever seen one other crow. There is a big shape on the road in front of me, but I feel it is not an elephant. I feel as though it is a buffalo. Nothing wants to be on camera today. They're all running away. Except for the hippo. Debbie from Vancouver, it is lovely to have you on board. Speaking of our little Steenbok and its territorial nature, Debbie wants to know how many of our antelope species are actually territorial. Well, since my other buffalo's disappeared, we'll stop and have a look at this chap. And I suppose he doesn't fall under the antelope family, but it's part of the Bovidae family. So they are all related, they're all ruminants. Right, so antelope, Steenbok are territorial, duiker are territorial. Wildebeest are territorial. Are those the only 3? In certain areas, I believe that waterbuck bulls are territorial, but I'm not 100% sure that that is the case everywhere, and I don't think it is the case here. I think they have home ranges, just like the kudu and impala, but they're not territorial. So far, Debbie, we've got 3. If I think of any others in this area, I'll let you know. But for now, we have got one large buffalo and his oxpeckers. Everything seems to be on a go-slow this afternoon. Even the oxpeckers aren't all that busy occupied combing through his fur. They're just resting on his back. And he is sleeping. He is dozing very, very successfully there. Fast asleep. Have I turned my microphone off? No, I haven't. It's just attempting to escape down into my ponytail again. There we go. Is that any better? Somebody's very, very sleepy. And there we have the oxpeckers. Again, not up to terribly much. Feels as though it's a bit the siesta time out here in the African bush. Red-billed oxpecker, giving us a nice view of its stiffened tail feathers that allow it to perch on slippery surfaces like this buffalo's fur and skin. Aha! Interesting. Is that blood or is that dung? Is this this is the buffalo. I wonder, I would not be at all surprised if this is the buffalo that didn't escape from the lions. No wonder this buffalo looks so exhausted. He has not had a very good night. Let me just double check that because the light's very difficult. I'm going to go forward a bit. We're going to have a closer look. It looks to me like there's scratches down the side of that buffalo as well. So just bear with me for those of you who are a little bit squeamish. Perhaps don't turn away for a little bit. I wonder if this isn't our buffalo. Or, yep, no, definitely. This buffalo's had a lucky escape. We've been talking about him. So at some point, that's why the fur on his back shoulders are matted. At some point, whether or not this is the buffalo that the rest of the Safari Live team saw escape the lions around Galago Pan, or if it is a different buffalo, I think this looks fresh enough that this was from last night. Deep scratches from the lion's claws. One very, very lucky buffalo bull. And then there's marks on the back, there where the lion has grabbed him by the shoulders, which we've seen them do before. Blood around there. This is, without one shred of doubt, this was a lion hunt that didn't succeed, and this is one very fortunate buffalo, and that's why he's lying so exhausted. Oh, ouch. That does look exceptionally painful, and of course it's not helped by the oxpeckers. Look, it's still dripping. It's still fresh. It doesn't help that the oxpeckers are pecking away and worrying at the injury itself. This is where they become more of a hindrance than a help. Oh my goodness, I hope none of you are squeamish, because if you are, it's going to be sending shivers down your spine. Oof. They will keep it sort of clean, but at the same time they're going to prevent it from healing. Now my guess would be that this was last night, that the lions failed to get this buffalo. Probably our Nkuhuma females. So how fascinating is that? That we've come across a buffalo bull. My guess is that it's not the same buffalo that the Nkuhumas missed around Galago Pan, where the rest of the Safari Live crew were watching them. But I'd say it was from last night. Amazing! Well, Buffalo Bull, you've had a very, very lucky day. Well, unlucky and then lucky, I guess. And he probably fought back. You might even have found that the other buffalo bulls came back to help him, which does often happen with buffalo. Now he looks exhausted. And obviously that looks exceptionally painful, but really these are just superficial wounds. And unless he's hiding something the way that he's lying more serious, which I don't think he is, he will be absolutely fine. He'll heal up, unless of course he has more bad luck and the lions catch him again. But for now, I think those injuries will heal up relatively quickly. The oxpeckers might keep that hole in his tail around. But these animals are so resilient. Very, very valid question coming through from Tony. Speaking of our birds that are worrying at that poor buffalo's wound and keeping it open. Tony says, why are there no... why are the oxpeckers called oxpeckers? Ox, emphasis on the ox, if there are no oxes in this particular area. Well, I'm guessing because at some point, for example, the voortrekkers did have oxen that would help to pull their what are they called? Oh, for goodness sake. Wagons, thank you. I had a blank. I had a blank moment. Luckily, VM's on board to help me out here. The voortrekkers used oxen to pull their wagons through the rest of the country and to explore the different areas. So there were oxen that were brought into South Africa. Now they should actually, you're right though, Tony, we should call them buffalo peckers. But that just doesn't sound quite right, does it? Or giraffe, no, bovid pickers. Nope, still doesn't sound right. In fact, the more I say it, the worse it sounds. I'm going to stop saying it. But Tony raises a very, very valid point. Our oxpeckers obviously got their name because, of course, whilst they spend a lot of time around buffalo and giraffe, they would have spent time on the backs of the oxen that the people brought in to South Africa many, many centuries ago at this point. I always hate watching them worry away at an animal's wounds. I just want to get them to leave it alone. Oh, look at the butterfly. There's a butterfly on the wound, getting the moisture. How's that for imagery? Blood and gore and beauty at the same time. Oof. Okay, let's stop looking at the wound. It's giving me the heebies. Kim, yes, it's possible that he will lose his tail. I think it depends on how much damage, how that wound does look quite deep, and it depends on how infected it gets. These animals have incredibly resilient immune systems, but if infection does set in, particularly with the oxpeckers constantly pecking at it, there is a chance that his tail will at some point drop off and he will be without a tail, which we do see every now and again. We see buffalo without tails. Shame, boy. Shame he's gone straight to sleep. He's exhausted. That's why he's in the sun as well. Resting, recovering his strength. Years ago when I first started guiding, I would have said that this buffalo looked like he was going to die. He's so lacking in energy. But that's not the case. He's just resting up. He's healing. They're very tough creatures. Well, part of our mystery has been solved. I spent the morning tracking the Nkuhumas coming in from Arathusa, trying to work out exactly where they went and trying to work out why they did such a big circle. Now, I think we have a little bit more in the way of evidence to support what happened, or to try and piece together what happened last night. We're going to carry on. We'll leave our buffalo to his healing and his rest and his recovery. Meantime, let's jump onto the back of Wendy and find out where Brent is.
So we're checking for Nkahuma tracks at the moment. Nkahuma is our main pride of lions. And there are tracks still here. If they don't go any further, I want to pop my head down into this large hole. It doesn't look like they go. Oh, they're here. There they are. With the cubs. So all the cubbies are here. One went there. Other one's continuing on. Just going to check carefully up ahead on Connor's airstrip for the drone. And if we see no tracks on Connor's airstrip, they must have dipped into the gully. Aha! Okay, Can you see me? Says elephants would drink none because they wouldn't be able to open the can. I think they actually would be able to. They're incredibly dexterous. Okay, there's still lion cub tracks next to me. I'll try to show you one. I'm going to have to do it this way because of the light, I think. You can see them there, Brian. There's lioness and cub tracks. Just on the right-hand side. Here we go. They have been driven over. I did see them this morning. So we're just trying to check where they've left. Where they've left the road. So we're going to keep checking. But while we do that, I'm not quite sure what Kirsten said there. We're either going to a scorpion or a scrub hare. Scrub hare, there we go, with Jamie.
We were indeed coming to a scrub hare, but as Brent sent you across to us, this poor little thing was terrified into moving away thanks to the passage of two enormous buffalo bulls walking right past its hiding hole. Now, because of our abilities with this, or because of VM's, I say our, like it's a team effort, because of VM's abilities and capabilities with this camera, he can bring you right up close to this particular creature, but it's almost invisible against the dirt. And I mean, this thing is right out in the open. And if it's not moving, you would never know that it is there. And I'm going to try and just go, I think going back might help us here. But isn't that incredible? And by the way, this was VM's spot. He did an amazing job of picking up that it was there. Let's try going backwards a bit. Please don't run. Look how slowly it's... Oh, sorry, let's try and get back. It's moving so slowly because it knows that predators' eyes are drawn to rapid movement. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. I'm just a piece of ground, I'm just a piece of ground. Just a little bit further, just a little bit further. Into my hiding spot. Well done, scrub hare. We had no idea that you were there. Very sneaky. Worthy of... I can't think of anything sneaky right now. Worthy of a leopard. I think, though, might actually spell the end of our scrub hare sighting. That was highly entertaining, the way that he moved. And of course at night, and they are nocturnal creatures, a scrub hare will dash from place to place constantly. But during the day, they are clearly much more reticent to move. And now he's vanished. I mean, he went under there. I can't see him at all. Very cool. Nope, he's vanished completely. That was really interesting. I also really liked the fact that it had a little white spot on the top of its head. And welcome to Rika on the subject of our Lego morph that we were looking at before. Rika would like to know if our rabbits ever get hunted by stray cats out here. In this particular case, we do have rabbits in South Africa. Sorry, just to do a fine distinction. We do get rabbits in South Africa. We do not get rabbits here. So in the Eastern Cape, you get the Jamison's rock rabbit. You get the riverine rock rabbit, which is a critically endangered rabbit species. Here we get a scrub hare. And the difference, of course, is that they live out in the open. They don't tunnel. And their babies are born fully ready to run with their eyes open, their legs fully developed, whereas baby rabbits need a little bit of time of development. So they're atricial as opposed to precocial. Now, do they get eaten by stray cats? They definitely get eaten by cats on a regular basis. Anything, especially servals and caracals, and apparently there's lots of caracal in this area. I haven't seen one yet, but it's next on my list of cats I would like to see. They are on the menu of... Leopard in the tree, leopard in the tree. I see the leopard in the tree. Well done, VM. And leopards. Leopards also like to eat scrub hares. Now I have tragic news for you. I believe that VM has just spotted Tingana. Unfortunately, we are currently on the Simbombili cut line. So that is, I think, Tingana. Yo, it's hard to tell. He's got a kill. And he is up in a tree. And for us, unfortunately, impossible for us to get any closer. Well done, VM. Well spotted. A leopard in a tree. Lovely. Let me just take my... Sorry, this is not VM, this is me. My foot's on the brake. So, there's an animal that will eat a scrub hare. I don't necessarily think that's what we were going for. We don't have many stray cats in this area, back to what we were talking about, but we do have lots and lots of wild ones. Now, a scrub hare would not really feature on Tingana's menu, but you never know. They are opportunists of note, our leopard characters. Even Tingana is not above catching the odd scrub hare every now and again. Let's see how his limp is. It's a bit difficult to tell, but he's... Look at him, isn't he massive? Hello, Tingana, with your huge and thick and powerful neck. Giving his foot a jolly good clean. I think he does have a kill up here. The reason I say that is, first of all, I thought I saw something, and also he's got a nice round belly. And Tingana looking much, much better than when I last saw him, which was close to this area in Red Dam, where he was quite hungry. To me, he was looking a little bit thin. Now he is back to his usual marvelous self. He's in such a difficult position. The picture of balance and poise. Tingana? Ah, settling down on his branch. Don't you want to come this way, boy? That's a very tricky spot. Yay! We've had a really marvelous day so far. 2 cheetah, 1 new female leopard, and now our dominant male leopard of this area. And he is very warm and very, very full of food. I think it's Tingana. Obviously it's really difficult to tell at this distance. That looks like Tingana to me though. Look at that, he's looking right at us. His pink tongue sticking out, panting in the heat of the afternoon. What is he? Oh, he is licking his paw. Amazing how a leopard can find themselves perfect balance and perfect comfort on a branch like this. And we know, because we've tried it, that it's not as easy. Now, yesterday we were participating in an event organized by our lovely ladies of Final Control. So Kirsty, Jerry and Rebecca organized us the Bush Olympics, which involved several different events, one of which included climbing a tree at great speed. Naturally, as you can imagine, both Brent and Brian, and Jandre actually, all 3 of whom are very tall individuals, had a natural advantage. But it did give us a nice little perspective into what leopards experience on a day-to-day basis. And of course, we've got nothing on them, although I feel as though Brent and Brian did a relatively good job. They were up that tree so fast, it was truly incredible. I can't remember what Brent's time was, but I think it was by a landslide. Basically, Jerry climbed up into the apple leaf tree, hello boy, and tied a piece of tinsel, and then we all had to race up to try and touch it. And I think Brent took about 4 seconds to get up there. Tingana, of course, could have done it in 4 seconds as well, but it does give you some insight into how difficult it is, or how difficult it must be, to drag a carcass up into a tree, secure it safely using your mouth and your claws, and then find yourself a nice comfortable spot like this. And he's using his tail and his back legs and his front feet to balance himself perfectly. A very comfortable looking leopard. Oh, apart from the flies. Come this way, boy. This way. Come south. This is a difficult place. Should we try and see? I think the road curves a little bit further to the north, Liam. Should we try and see if we can get a better view? I don't think he's going anywhere. Let's reposition. I'm hoping to try and move the sun as well. Not move the sun, obviously. I'm not going to move the sun. I know I've got delusions of grandeur, but that's a bit dramatic. I'm not going to try and move the sun. I'm going to try and reposition so that the sun is slightly less straight into our faces. How's the view? Bit back. Those of you who are watching, sending us through some beautiful screenshots. There we go, that's a bit better. So thank you everybody for that. My apologies that I can't get any closer. For our new viewers, the reason that we are sitting where we are... Oh, there's another thing. There's another thing. Oh, it's a hyena. There is a hyena at the base of the tree. I'm not sure, VM, if you're going to be able to see it. It's off there. Oh, never mind. Yes, of course you're able to see it. Here we go. The patient hyena. Our two spotted predators. At a standoff, and then, oh yes, there we go, now we can see the kill. He killed an impala at some point. Most of it seems to be finished. No wonder he's got such an enormous belly. How lovely. Two of my favorite spotted predators. For new viewers, the reason that we are in the position that we're in is that whilst the animals don't have any boundaries in their 4 million hectare, 8.5 million acre wilderness area, we do. Not everybody can go everywhere, and unfortunately Tingana has killed and hoisted his impala. Oh, scooting. Getting more comfortable. He's put it in a spot where we cannot get any closer. That was such a cute reposition. Cute is the wrong word for Tingana. That was such a lumbering reposition. So we cannot go any further north. You might see some other vehicles arriving. They might come and join us, but they will be able to go in and have a closer look. Whereas, unfortunately, our lot in life is to look at him from here. Not that I'm complaining. It is a beautiful view. And there's nothing more iconic, or there's no more an iconic way to see a leopard than to watch them spread-eagled across a branch. As James would put it most poetically, the boughs of the tree. Cradled in the boughs of the tree. Perhaps might be a James-type expression. Giving us a really nice view of his rosettes. The type of spots that leopards have, rather than just solid spots, as they have around their feet. As you move up towards their back and along their side, they almost seem to have rosettes. Oh, such a tired leopard. It's difficult getting comfortable when you have a belly full of impala. A very interesting question, Jen. Thank you for that, and good afternoon. I hope you are enjoying our view of this lovely leopard. Jen wants to know, we were watching him lick his paws, whether or not that helps to cool them down. And Jen, it may well play a little bit of a role. We know that animals do lose heat through the pads of their feet, not as much as they lose through panting. And obviously there's a trade-off. I think he was cleaning his paws because he'd been using them to help him reposition his kill. And they are, of all of their body parts, cats are most fastidious about their paws themselves. I'm not discounting the possibility, Jen. I think it's entirely possible that they lose a bit of heat every time they lick the bottom of their paw and then the wind blows over it. But in this case, I think it was just serving a cleaning purpose. But a really lovely question and a very good point. Because, of course, these cats can't sweat in the same way we do. And particularly for lions, it becomes a very, very warm business being a lion, with a belly full of rotting meat, which, as you can imagine, is not a cool process. It produces a great deal of heat as they digest that amount of food. So not only have they got the African heat to contend with, but they've also got the process happening inside of them. Which is why whenever we see a full leopard or a lion or even a full cheetah, they tend to be very relaxed and quite prepared to just lie in the shade and pant their way through the day. His tangling feet. My favorite thing to watch with a leopard lying in a tree is the way that their paws dangle over the edge. Now, to go back to what's happening here for newer viewers, just to go back into what is playing out here, we've got a leopard in a tree. Oh, sorry, before we go into that, X-Ranger, just to finish off our conversation, X-Ranger also loves the dangling back feet. I don't know what it is, there's just something, and the tail combination that I find, it's always the thing, whenever you see a photograph that people have taken, it's always the thing that attracts my attention first. Just look at the dangling back feet. It looks so comfortable. Hey boy, you comfy there? Amazing. That piercing look, even at this distance. Sorry, what I was going to go into for new viewers is we've got a leopard. I should know the difference by now. We've got a leopard in a tree with some food, and we've got a spotted hyena hanging around underneath. And this is a very, very common scene. Now, hyenas, whilst they are more than capable of hunting for themselves, a lot of the time they play the patience game, which often involves sleeping underneath where a leopard's hidden its kill. And that, of course, he or she is the main reason why leopards hoist the way that they do, so that it keeps it out of reach of our scavengers. Because pound for pound, a leopard isn't even a big male leopard, although a big male leopard would make a hyena think twice about tackling him, but pound for pound, a hyena is a more powerful animal, and a leopard will generally relinquish their kill if they can't get it up into the tree quick enough. So now we've got the hyena playing the patience game. I know that you had a scene with Karula and a hyena lying up close together. It's something we've seen on a relatively regular basis. We saw it most recently with Tiani Salaeshe, the two female leopards of this area, and I believe a hyena that some of you have nicknamed Milky Way, with one blind eye, which I love, by the way. I was thinking Galaxy, but Milky Way works as well. So you often see lions and what is wrong with me? Why have I got this obsession with lions? Leopards and hyena lying in very close proximity. And the hyena just waiting for the opportunity, for the moment when either Tingana makes a mistake and he positions the carcass in the wrong way, and the carcass is starting to fall apart. I mean, it's essentially held together by bits of skin and a head. And the hyena's waiting for that moment where something drops off and it manages to collect the scraps, or perhaps the entire thing, if Tingana is incredibly unlucky. We're going to spend our next few moments with our lovely leopard resting in a tree, but let us jump onto the back with Brent, who has finally succeeded on World Elephant Day in bringing you some elephants.
Isn't this exciting? World Elephant Day, and of course some elephants have made an appearance. Now, they're in some thick bush just below my house. And there we go, wonderful to have elephants on World Elephant Day. Quite a nice herd, probably about 15 to 20 individuals. And they went for a drink at the Djuma pan, and now they are heading into the mixed woodland feed. And there we go. You can see them just through. So everyone is asking, what is the can of Coke? X-Ranger would like to know how many mils are our soft drink cans here. The average one is 340. Brian, am I correct? 340 milliliters. So if you're wondering why we're talking about the size of cans, because it's your World Elephant Day quiz. What number of cans would an elephant have to drink its normal equivalent amount of water? And this is an elephant bull. So what amount of cans would an elephant bull at 340 milliliters need to drink to produce its normal amount of water? Now, I'm hoping they're going to move out into the open a bit more. Finn, who's 8 years old, says, is the answer 1 million? Not almost, but not quite, Finn. You can see how harsh it is at the moment out there for the Ellies. Very little food around. And of course, we are in our worst drought since 1992, 93. And you can see a lot of the trees around that area have been completely stripped. Well, you can just see the starlings running around in the foreground, probably hoping for any insect to be disturbed by the Ellies as they feed, and I'm quite sure there's a fork-tailed drongo taking advantage of that somewhere there as well. Now, it's a nice warm day, 27 degrees Celsius, so about 80 Fahrenheit. So those massive ears will be working to cool the Ellies down. It's basically a massive air conditioning system. You can have about 8 liters of blood in their ears, so just under 2 US gallons of blood in their ears. So all the warm blood gets pumped through into their ears, and they flap their ears to cool down and sending cool blood back to the rest of the body. And that's how elephants are unable to feed throughout the heat of the day. And being such massive creatures, they do need to feed constantly. They feed for most of the day. Hi, Easy Peasy in the UK. Easy Peasy would like to know, how do elephants generally fare if they are brought up in captivity and then released in the wild? Now, it all depends on where, Easy Peasy. In most places, not well. So the reason for that is that they have lost their natural fear of man. And they're used to getting food from people. So what happens is, quite often in those situations, is the elephants will come up to a person who doesn't have any food and start looking for food from them. And when that person doesn't have any food or doesn't provide them with what they're looking for, they can get quite angry and aggressive. And of course that is very bad, because it generally ends up in the elephants having to be destroyed. So the only place that really works is if you can put elephants in an area where there are no people. And massive areas with lots of other wild elephants. Now while we sit here and wait for these Ellies to come a bit closer to us, let's go back to Jamie and the fat cat Tingana.
One fat cat indeed, who has managed to shift himself to what looks like a slightly more comfortable fork in the tree. And he's now resting his head, and I think that I'm just going to roll backwards ever so slightly to see if we can't improve our view of at least his face. Ah, I say roll, almost. There we go. Now, Ellen, I actually thought I had read something along those lines, so thank you for that. Ellen Fowler has sent through an update that apparently Tingana stole this kill from Shadow and her cub. Now, I had read about that, I just didn't realize that it was this particular kill that he managed to nick from her. Or in fact that it was so clearly visible from our boundary line. But thank you for that, Ellen. I didn't realize it was here, but it is interesting information. So Shadow is the female leopard that is, her territory is a sort of a very long, thin one on the boundary of the Queen Karula's, her mother. And Shadow has got a roughly 5-month-old female cub with her. And Tingana is most likely the father. We'll never know we will know for sure, but not just yet, or not anytime soon. But we know that Shadow has mated with him regularly. He is the dominant male leopard of this area, and his territory spans over that of several different females, including Saleheshe and her cub, who we've only recently started seeing, Shadow and her cub, Karula and her cubs, Tundi and her cubs. All of these leopards are part of Karula's lineage, apart from Saleheshe. And right towards Cheetah Plains and Torchwood, although there his boundary line is drawn with another male leopard called Shimbambalana. And he is right on the boundary with another male leopard at the moment. Now, the other male leopard in this area his name is Anderson. I have yet to see the Anderson male, nor do I know why he's called the Anderson male, come to think of it. I'm assuming after somebody called Anderson, or perhaps a place called Anderson. That's usually how these leopards get names like that. I've never seen the Anderson male, although he is apparently rumoured to be absolutely enormous. I know that he has been seen on the live drives before, but Tingana is no pipsqueak himself. He is a massive male leopard in his prime. He must be close on to 10 years old now, with his enormously powerful neck, who has fathered many generations of little leopard cubs, despite the aspersions that some were casting upon his fathering capabilities after he was seen mating with several females several times without any sign of cubs or pregnancy. But that, of course, is now completely changed, and all three females that we've seen him mating with are now proud moms of leopard cubs of different ages. From Karula's are the oldest at 6 months old, and then Shadow's, and then Tundi's recent litter that we have yet to see, and that I'm so excited to see. Because I have to tell you, if I had to pick a favourite female leopard, no, not a favourite. I have a soft spot for Tundi, let's put it that way. I don't know what it is, but I really like her. And Tingana, of course, is always lovely and picturesque to see. He's presented us with some amazing sightings. The last time I saw him, he was wandering through a drainage line, marking his territory. And perhaps tonight, if we are able to, because the kill is in a tree, if we were to return here, and perhaps he were to decide to move off from this kill, although I don't think he's going to go too far, to be honest. With that enormous belly, there might not be any meat left, or much meat left. But he's still got a lot of digesting to do. But perhaps, depending on how the evening goes, he might decide to come down and start to give us that incredible sawing territorial call that leopards give. We'll just have to see where the afternoon takes us. Oh, it's exhausting work digesting. And James Richard is affronted on the behalf of the leopards. Perhaps affronted is the wrong word, but James has pointed out that perhaps we need a World Leopard Day, or when is World Leopard Day, since our lions and our elephants have been getting plenty of attention and love, which of course we do not begrudge them at all. But a valid point, James, and I have absolutely no idea when World Leopard Day would happen to be. I'll have to double check that. Is there a World Leopard Day? There must be. I mean, if there is a World Bow Tie Day, which I only found out this morning upon the conversation with Brent and Brian, if there is a World Bow Tie Day, then surely there must be a World Leopard Day as well. It is interesting that the World Lion Day and the World Leopard Day fell in such close proximity to each other, but it's nice. It gives us a really nice opportunity for awareness raising and just a time to appreciate the amazing animals around us. But James is right. Maybe we should make a World Leopards Day, JR. Celebrate our different leopards. We've been off to a good start today. One new female leopard this morning, and Viam, you filmed that leopard as well. No.
I was snoozing this morning.
Oh, were you snoozing this morning? Oh, so you missed out. I'm sorry to hear that. So Viam was snoozing this morning, so he didn't film the new female leopard. But we've definitely been off to a good start in terms of our lovely spotted cats. But then the problem is, James, then we need a National Buffalo Day. Well, maybe not a Buffalo Day. We're going to stick to the endangered animals. National Pangolin Day, or International.
The hyena just moved off.
The hyena just moved off. Where did it go?
To the left.
Is it coming towards us, or is it just going into the shade? Because that might be quite a nice surprise. Let's go forward a bit and just double check. Because it might give us a nice opportunity to look at a spotted predator of a different kind, especially if this one is moving towards us. Where's this hyena gone? And Belly, unfortunately, this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to find our hyena again. Unfortunately, very sadly, our hyena have not returned to Djuma once again. Look, they're always there. They come through each and every single night. Their tracks are around that area. Where's this hyena gone? Must have gone to go and lie in the shade. Oh, seeing those off-road tracks going a bit closer, it's terribly tempting. But unfortunately, rules are rules. But it's just there. It's just there. It's so close. I don't know where this hyena went now. He must be hiding somewhere flat. Belly, and for newer viewers, oh, there's another vehicle coming in. Unfortunately, our hyenas remain denning away. Oh, hold on, the Tingana's now up. How's that? Pardon? Oh, further back. A little bit further back. I wonder what prompted him to get up. Maybe just discomfort. Oh, a very, very interesting question from Alice. And I'm trying to think of the best way to answer this, because she's raised a valid point. Alice's question is, why do people have such an empathy for a leopard, but not for something like an impala? Do we not have empathy for impala? I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I think I always feel a little bit sorry for the hapless creature that has become the leopard's next meal. Sorry guys, I'm listening to the game drive comms. At some point we are going to have to leave this sighting. We did kind of sneak in here, although not quite. We're still very far away from him. Alice, I think that people feel a natural connection to leopards and lions, and I think often to the point of it being slightly unfair, because they're beautiful, and they are graceful, and there's something that we find amazing within them that intrinsically attracts us. Perhaps just that little hint of fear of them as well, is at one point they would have hunted human beings. Aha! There is a male lion on Djuma that I've just heard. Sorry guys, the game drive comms have suddenly taken off spectacularly, and I've got too many voices happening in my ear at one time. But Alice's question is an interesting one, because it is true. We take impala for granted, but I don't think, Alice, necessarily that it's a lack of empathy. I think it's an acknowledgement of the natural order of things. So you cannot begrudge a leopard its meal, any more than you can begrudge a lion its meal. I feel sorry for that buffalo, with his injured tail, but at the same time he had a lucky escape, and the lions went hungry last night. It is just the natural cycle of things. For me, what saddens me out here in the bush, my heart no longer breaks whenever something natural happens to an animal. But for me, it is far, far worse when a human being has played a terrible role in whatever has been inflicted upon that animal. That is where I find the tragedy. But that's slightly separate to your question. I do think human beings are intrinsically attracted to the idea of leopards and lions. Whenever you get new guests, almost invariably the first thing they want to ask for, or they want to see, unless they're regular safari goers, is a leopard and a lion and maybe an elephant. And they don't necessarily get quite so excited as we do about things like trumpeter hornbills in places where trumpeter hornbills are not often seen. Hey, Tingana. Oh, he thought about settling down. Oh, there we go. I think he just can't find a comfortable place for his stomach. That's why he keeps shifting around. Not that he wants to come down, he just can't quite find a comfortable spot. Resting on that enormous belly, he can't lie on his side. Oh, well, there we go. Thank you to Mauricia. JR, apparently we missed the boat. And International Leopard Day was on the 3rd of May. So there we go. We do have a Leopard Day, an International Leopard Day, but we missed the boat on that one. Whoopsie. And perhaps we didn't realize, in fact, we definitely didn't realize that it was, in fact, International Leopard Day. So there you go. They are not without their own day. Let's go back to where we were before and get a slightly better view of what's happening with Tingana. How's that? But further. There we go. He's got a branch behind his head. I think that will do for now. Unfortunately, it's not going to get much better than that. And Cat in Tampa, lovely, lovely message from you. But although we have missed International Leopard Day, we have not missed International Snow Leopard Day, which is on October 23rd. And that's definitely a day we can all get behind. Whilst we don't have any snow leopards here, we do have their cousins, and it is a dream of most of ours, I think, to be able to go and see a snow leopard in the wild. I know it's very difficult, next to impossible. Imagine that. Snow leopards live. You can dream. We can dream. We can dream big. And certainly there are all kinds of exciting prospects in our future. Imagine getting to know a family of snow leopards like we know a Karula and them. Unfortunately, that's not something... What we have here in the Sabi Sand is pretty much the best possible way of viewing these wild leopards out in their completely natural habitat and behaving as they would in their day-to-day lives without any concern for us. And that's due to years and years and years and years of very hard work in terms of habituating them and getting them used to the presence of vehicles, which in turn contributes to their survival and ultimate success, because tourists pay money to come and look at them, and money helps to fund conservation, unfortunately. It's the world that we live in. Money makes the world go round, even in conservation terms. So by being able to be comfortable around vehicles, leopards are essentially, or getting leopards to be comfortable around vehicles essentially allows us to invest in their future. I think at some point relatively soon we are going to leave our male leopard and go off in search of this lion that apparently has been sitting on Djuma the entire day. It must have been him that we heard roaring this morning. They were shouting all over the place. And possibly he was part of the buffalo hunt that apparently was unsuccessful. So we'll enjoy our last few moments with Tingana and then probably move off. A hot and sleepy afternoon, and I think we shall leave him for now. We will try and come back depending upon what the lineup is. There are other vehicles waiting to enter into the sighting, and I want to go and investigate where that lion is. And if we can, then we will come back to him towards the end of the day as it starts to get a little bit cooler. I think for now, let us leave him be. In the meantime, while we move off and go and find that male lion, let's head back over to Brent and find out what he's been up to.
Well, I'm still looking for lions. Those elephants unfortunately moved into some thicker bush. Hopefully some more will come out. Oh, which way? Let's go this way. What do you think, Brian? We're going to go look for some male lions now. And we did have a brief view of one this morning, but I've heard another one came through during the day, so maybe they've joined up and they're somewhere accessible. Now, the Nkahuma pride, for those who are not sure, that's our main pride of females, are in an area that is just too thick and too steep to get our vehicles into. So we'll go look for the males, and then I think we might go look for our new leopard a little bit later. She was left in Buffelshoek, so I'm just waiting for the guys to go have a look at the last position before we shoot into that general area. But back, because since it is World Elephant Day, now, what was the heaviest elephant ever recorded? What was the heaviest elephant ever recorded? Send your answers through to questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So apparently the Coke can quiz is keeping you guys guessing. So I'm going to give a clue. It's nearly as many as there are days in the year. Aha! That should help. And I will tell you that sorry, I thought I saw some more elephants. It's not elephants. It is that large termite mound. Okay, we're going to head towards where I think those lions are. Probably about 5-10 meters away. But remember, what is the heaviest elephant ever recorded? And you can give me your answer in pounds or kilograms or tons. But interestingly enough, we were talking about massive elephant on the sunrise safari, and I did give a hint to where the heaviest elephant, not heaviest elephant ever recorded was. So hopefully those of you who are watching from the sunrise will be able to pick up on that. So this is my game drive radio.
To the end of the tracks where you guys drive in there.
I'm just trying to find out. It sounds like someone else is also looking for the lions.
No, yeah, maybe they're more because of the hedges. Okay, yeah, just when I cross the Chicago, there's a flowery bush. And when straight for that track.
So those male lions were somewhere around here later in the day. So eyes up. Let's see if we can find them. So what you're looking for a lion at the moment is basically a big white belly lying in the shade somewhere. They're not going to be lying out in the open normally.
Yeah,
And so
the copy that we saw another Valora and some
what we're looking for is ear flicks. That big white, the white belly, or the pale color of the belly, is the best giveaway. So that's what we're looking for. So looking into the deep shade, trying to spot ourselves a kitty cat. Well done, Cat and Tampa. It is indeed 360 cans, normal soft drink cans, but for everyone else, I've got some other interesting stats. It is the equivalent of, where's this now? It is equivalent of 211 UK pints, or 253 US pints, and it is 31 US gallons of water a day. Ah, there's Taxon. I think he's also in search for the same lions we're in search of. Oh, hey. Hello, everyone. Home for? Where's my lions? Aren't you supposed to find them for me?
No, I just told him that you're coming.
Oh, is he? I'm okay. You found them?
No.
Where were they? Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, I drive down there, but I can't see anything. Maybe if you try more.
Okay, I'll go have a look.
Drainage line, yeah.
Cool. I'll give you a call. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy. Okay, so we're going to carry on. So Taxon was also looking for the lions. Unfortunately, he didn't find them. So that means it's up to us. We like a good challenge, don't we, Brian? Okay. Let us search. Hats off. Okay. So elephants might have pushed them during the day. It's always a possibility. But normally they don't move too far before going to snooze again. Oh yes, we were chatting about that. So as I said, 253 US pints, 211 UK pints, and 31 US gallons. So this is where the lions were sleeping, somewhere just in here. So let us have a look. Possible they could have moved down into one of these little river systems to get some shade. There were two apparently, and these are two members of the Birmingham Boy coalition. They're our dominant coalition here in this part of the Sabi Sands. There are 4 individuals. There used to be 5, but one unfortunately got hooked by a buffalo when it was hunting it, and it got a hole in its lung and it passed away. But while we try to find where these Birmingham boys are snoozing, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
Well, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where one of them is snoozing, which is just along Triple M, which is where we're heading to at the moment. I've just stopped to chat to Roy from Arathusa, and he tells me something interesting. He tells me that that buffalo has been there for 3 days, which means, by my calculations, it must be the same buffalo that was, well, I suppose they could have gone for 2 different buffalo, but it definitely increases the chances that it was the buffalo that the crews saw being hunted at Gallagher Pan a couple of nights ago, which is truly fascinating, because he's made his way all the way to Arathusa, and we were chatting a little bit about it on foot this morning with Steph and with Jean-Andre, and about the fact that that is one buffalo that we really, really don't want to bump into. He's not going to be in the most pleasant of moods, let's put it that way. Now it's interesting to see just how far he's moved before he found a place to rest and recuperate. It's also interesting that the lion tracks all come from there. Perhaps they tried once again. Ryan, can I make my approach? I'm going to take that as a yes. Somebody stopped on the road to come and have a look at him. Hello, hello. How are you? Good, thank you. How's it? Hi, everybody. Oh, I know. I'm so sorry. We're going to go past you, but we did sit and watch a leopard from the boundary, so you know. We do. We're using it on you right now.
I know. Cool.
Cool.
Enjoy it.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. If he comes your side, we'll do. The rest of them are our side, and Kuma's as well.
I heard so. But I'm thinking closest water is probably going to be similar rhythm. I don't know if there's anything left on the side.
Nothing this side. Treehouse is dry, everything's dry. Just the pan. I'll give you a shot. Cool. Okay. Cheers, guys. Sorry. Bye. Now find ourselves with the opposite advantage of being able to go onto Djuma as opposed to having to look at across at Tingana on the Simbombili or on Simbombili. That, by the way, was Ryan, who is the head guide of Arathusa, and was very, very helpful in making sure that our attention was drawn to the existence of this line. Let's not be rude and block his guest's view at the same time. We'll try and go around rather. Hello, big boy. This was trickier than I thought it was going to be. I'm trying to put us in a position where we are not blocking everybody else's view. Looks as though somebody's been here already this morning. There's some fresh tire tracks, interestingly enough. Hello, boy. And so we have a magnificent male line with one roundish belly resting up on a termite mound in the sun once again. The animals seem to be enjoying lying right out in the open this afternoon. The last time we saw the Birmingham Boys was, of course, the dramatic scenes that played out. Was it yesterday morning? Time flies. It feels longer, in a way. But yesterday morning, Vim and myself were witness to an incredible scrap. Almost a family argument, I think, is the way that we've decided to classify it. Oh, is that not very comfy? You are lying with your head downhill, which can't be terribly comfortable. Now, we had the Birmingham Boys going to meet up with the Nkuhumas. Now, we don't know exactly what it was that sparked off the disagreement. I'm relatively certain that it was Amber Eyes' diversionary tactics. She might be going into estrus, but she was definitely behaving in a very flirtatious manner with the males. But the rest of the Nkuhumas with the cubs were definitely on edge. They were on edge from the moment the Birmingham Boys poked their heads up over the hill. And it sort of escalated into one serious disagreement, with the Birmingham Boys scrapping with each other and the lionesses behaving incredibly defensively and actually aggressively towards the males, I think, because there were cubs around. Now, I suspect that those sorts of scenes actually play out more commonly than we get to see them, but it was something that I've certainly have never seen on these live safaris before, and it really gives you an idea of the true raw power of these creatures. And yet, at the same time, they were basically flat-handing each other. There were no serious injuries, a couple of scratches here and there, but when you think of what these animals are capable of doing, and we've seen with that poor buffalo, with their powerful teeth and jaws and claws, they definitely hold back. They pull their punches. But our battle-scarred Birmingham males bear with me one moment. I just have to call this in on the Game Drive comms. Afternoon stations in the north, there's one Maduro Ngala, just to the west of Triple M, south of the Balanites Junction. There's 2 vehicles on lock from the west and myself in this position, but I'll keep you updated. That's affirmative. He is on our side. He's on Djuma. Sorry everybody, just chatting a little bit on the Game Drive comms to let everybody know that this male lion is on Djuma rather than on Arathusa. There we go. He's just arrived. Aubrey is here. Standing by. Sorry guys, we have to play a bit of Tetris here. I'm not sure, Brent. Stand by on that one. Brent would like to know if this is the male lion, is the one with the limp. And I don't know the answer to that question because I'm not 100% sure which Birmingham Boy this is. I mean, all of them seem to be sporting some kind of limp at the moment, which is relatively typical of a dominant male lion in an area like this. And Brent just wants to make sure that it isn't the one that he's been tracking. Paul has suggested that this is Birmingham Boy number 2, which is entirely possible. He's got those scars around his nose and then just up along his cheekbones, which should be relatively distinctive. But of course, male lions constantly have fresh scars, old scars, healing scars. Their faces are a map of their trials and tribulations. But Paul thinks this is Birmingham Boy number 2. I definitely know it's not Birmingham Boy number 3 because he's got the skin infection all along his side and his elbow patches. I'm not sure if this... I assume that Brent has been able to see that it is the male with the limp, just judging by the tracks that he's been looking at. Now, I know that Brent did have a male lion this morning, so this gentleman could well be him. Dispatch Griffin, who is our newest safari addict, or one of our newest safari addicts, would like to know how many terms we have to use for lions on the radio. He's heard flat cat and fuzzy, and now whichever word I just used. So Dispatch, the typical word that we will use on the Game Drive comms is Ngala, which is the local word for lion. So Ngala, often we just refer to them as male lion. I called him a Madoda Ngala. Our cats are doing a lot of shuffling at the moment. That was a very graceful reposition. The Dispatch, I often refer to him just as lions in English on the Game Drive comms. I referred to this gentleman as a Madoda Ngala, which means a man lion. It's not actually the correct term. Apparently the correct usage in terms of Shangana is Manona Ngala. A Madoda is a man, a human man. Oh, so exhausted. And flat cat, we often say that we're leaving them flat cat, and the reason that we do that on the Game Drive comms is to tell the other vehicles what that animal is doing at that particular time, whether they are on the move, in which case it changes whether or not people are going to come and see the sighting. If they're far away and they know that the animal's moving, then they might not try and get here, or they might try and race quickly. It's just keeping the other people updated as to what the animal is doing. It's not enough to just call it in. You've got to explain the positioning and the situation. Because, of course, a sleeping lion is a very different thing to a hunting lion.